crown and crucify. Crown, not crown and crucify. Crown or crucify. All right.
Behold, this is your king.
Right. Now this is the dilemma that was confronted Pilate, right?
I know. Especially with the wife's dream.
Right. Pilate was presented Jesus in his court. And he had two choices that he had to do. He either had to crown Jesus or he had to crucify Jesus. That's what we are presented with also. Yeah. Because they did not have civil authority. Civil authority rested in the Romans. So to able to execute the judgment, it had to be given to the Romans. All right, here we go. Okay. Crown or crucify? John 18, verse 29. All right, so this is what we're just going to kind of summarize what actually happened. Jesus was taken on that Passover day, right? Yeah. It was on a Friday early morning. He was taken by the Jews, and they took him to the high priest, right? To Caiaphas, and then he had to go to Annas, which is the father-in-law, right? And then to Caiaphas again. Eventually they pronounced that he is guilty, right? But they cannot pronounce the sentence, the civil sentence, because they were under Roman law, and the Roman law says that it has to be Roman rule that that has to play an effect so that the judgment can be executed. Right. So now it was early morning, so they took Jesus to Pilate, and they woke him up. It was early in the morning, and then now Pilate asked the Jewish people, John 18:29, what accusation bring ye against this man? What is your accusation? Yeah, what is he guilty of? How come you want me to judge him? What is he guilty of? So we'll go, there's obviously in the 4 chapters, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Yeah, you have to use all of the what to actually get the picture, because they all have different angles of how they look at that one event. Luke 23 verse 2. And they began to accuse him, saying, we found this fellow perverting the nation and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, saying that he himself is Christ, a king. Now this, the Jews did not expect. They said, okay, when we bring him to you, he would sometimes say, okay, go ahead and execute. Yeah, usually he will just do that. Yeah. But this time he says, wait a minute, why are you accusing? What are you accusing of? Let's see, we have to figure out what we're going to accuse him of. And they had a tough time trying to figure out what they had to actually get false witnesses to come in. Now these are the false witnesses that come in and said, oh, you know what? He told us that we don't have to pay tax to the Caesar. Is that true?
No, he said
that's right. They had to bribe false witnesses to say this, because that's not what Jesus said. That's right. And Caesar knew it. And Caesar says, no, that's not true. This is, you guys have something against him. This is not true. Matthew 27:11. And Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, art thou, see, they're calling him Christ the King. Art thou the King of the Jews? And what did Jesus say? And Jesus said to him, thou sayest. You said it. You said so. So what did the Jews say? Oh, there you go. See, that's what he said. Now you can what? You have to pronounce sentence on him. See, that's what Jesus said. But Pilate says, wait a minute. He didn't say anything. He did not declare that he was king. Jesus didn't say it.
Jesus
So
didn't say it.
I'm the one who said it. He didn't say it.
you said it, not me.
It's like it's prestigious.
Yeah, she said, no. Mark 15, 4 and 5. Answerest thou nothing? Behold, how many things they witness against thee? But Jesus answered nothing. So he didn't say anything. Now here, Pilate was still, he really believed that Jesus was innocent. Because he knew this was a false accusation. He knew that and right here he still, he says, Jesus, he looked at Jesus and says, no, this man does not have the, you look at we're all in the medical field. We look at a person in their eyes, that person is sick. We can tell, right? You walk into a room, oh, that person is sick. I better send him to ICU, right? You can tell just by looking in the eyes, if you have experience. Yeah. If Pilate looked at Jesus, no, this man is not guilty. He can just do that. He knew it. And the Holy Spirit was working on him. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was later. So, but Jesus answered nothing. John 18, 33 and 34. Then Pilate entered into the judgment hall again. Then he went into a different room and called Jesus and said unto him, Art thou the King of Jews? Now Jesus answered him, saying, Sayest thou this thing of thyself, or did others tell it thee of me? Wow. Did others tell it thee of me? Continue on 35 to 38. Pilate answered, Am I a Jew? Oh, now he says. Now his pride got to him. I'm not a Jew. What do you Thine own nation and the chief priests have delivered thee unto me. What hast thou done? See, your own chief priests have given you to me. What have you done? Jesus answered, My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence. See, my kingdom is not here. Pilate therefore said unto him, Art thou a king then? Jesus answered, Thou sayest that I am a king. To this end I was born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice. Pilate said unto him, What is the truth? These are the famous word. You can't handle the truth. What is the truth? He still had an inquiring mind. He wanted to know the truth. He said, I think this man has the truth. What is the truth? And the Latin word is quid est veritas. It's a very famous thing.
Yeah.
Quid est veritas. What is the truth? That's people put that as a what, kind of like their logo or something like. Yeah. Quid est veritas. What is the truth? What is truth? And when he had said this, he went out again into the Jews and said unto them, I find no fault in him. I find in him no fault at all. You have wrongly accused this man. There's no fault in him. He still could not find there's a fault. So he went to the Jews again. And the Jews, they got really angry, right? They got really angry. They said, he stirred up the people, teaching throughout all Jewry, beginning from Galilee to this place. Oh, right away. Now Pilate did not want to put the sentence for Jesus, right? So what did he find out? Oh, you mean he's from Galilee? In other words, he's not of my jurisdiction. My jurisdiction is Jerusalem. The jurisdiction of Galilee, that's Herod's jurisdiction. He's a Galilean? Okay. In other words, he is not under my jurisdiction. See, do you see what he's doing?
Yes, hunting.
There you go. That's right, passing the buck. What is he doing? Responsibility shifting. So when you're presented with you make a decision. Yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Let somebody else. That's not my job description. It's somebody else's job description. Don't give the responsibility to somebody else, right? The buck stops here. The buck stops here. When you are presented a decision, what are you going to do? Are you going to pass the buck on? Now Pilate, he passed the buck. He passed the buck. The story of Jesus, page 127. I like this actually. This is a little book, little pamphlet really. Yeah, it's condensed version of. Pilate at this time had no thought of condemning Jesus. He was sure of his innocence. Look at this. Pilate was sure of his innocence. But when he heard that Christ was from Galilee, he decided to send him to Herod, the ruler of that province, who was then in Jerusalem. Because it's what? It's the Passover, right? Because Herod is a Jew. They all have to come to Jerusalem during Passover. By this course, Pilate thought to shift the responsibility of the trial from himself to Herod. So there's actually 5 different things, 5 different mistakes that Pilate did when he was presented Jesus. 5. The first thing that he did wrong was he shifted the responsibility. He passed the buck. Who else passed the buck? Genesis 3. Yeah, that's right. And Adam, and he said, "Who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat?" And the man said, "The woman whom thou gavest to me with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did it." Who was passing the buck? Adam to Eve. And the Lord said unto the woman, "What is that thou hast done?" And the woman passed the buck to the serpent. Responsibility shifting. Pass the buck. Who else passed the buck? They decided that all their disasters were chargeable to, this is Korah, right? We sinned, but whose fault is it that we sin and we have to suffer this death in the... It's Moses' responsibility for us having to suffer this. Their disasters were chargeable to, they passed the buck to Moses and Aaron. And that their exclusion for Canaan was the consequence of mismanagement of Moses and Aaron, right? We studied this. And if Korah would be their leader and would encourage them by dwelling upon their good deeds instead of reproving their sins, they would have a very peaceful, prosperous journey. Instead of wandering to and fro in the wilderness, they would proceed directly to the promised land. Wow. We see this so much in our society these days. When we cannot control our kids, we say, "Oh, you know what? He's got to have ADHD." I cannot control my kid, so it's a medical problem. It's somebody else's problem.
Other child's committed, everyone said, "Just wait till your father comes home."
See? We have to have a what? It's our problem, but we have to we put it on somebody else. It's the medical. It's the government. The government really has put us down, and now that's why we can't work.
Like the woman with 29 children bringing in the family. Well, somebody has to be responsible with this kid. She was the one.
See, that's the issue.
That's right.
See, we see that all the time. It's not our responsibility. It's our. We have to just punt it to somebody else. Luke 23:16. So, after that, they took him to Herod, right? They took him to Herod, and Herod was happy to see Jesus. He was happy. Herod was happy actually, but still Herod still did not find anything wrong with him. But he still put on the crown and put on the robe. And what did he do? Send him back to Pilate. I cannot find anything. What? Send back to Pilate. And when Pilate, oh, here, the Jews bring back Jesus. What? Oh, no. You mean I did not get rid of that responsibility, you know? So what am I going to do? The people are now getting angry. They're getting angry and angrier and angrier. So what did he do now? He said, I will therefore chastise him and release him. Oh, okay. I will chastise him is actually scourge him. Scourge is scourge, whip. They use in the Roman times, they use a big long leather whip, and the end of it, they have lead metal bearings on it, and it's sharp. And then a strong person, usually a slave or one of those gladiators, because it's heavy. To scourge is a Roman tradition. Yeah, they actually do that. It's very, and it has to be done in front of everybody. You know, people will learn their lesson when they see somebody being scourged. But he says, I don't find any fault in him, but what I do is I'm going to scourge him. And then I will release him. That's right. Right. So what has he actually done? Think about it. He actually has compromised the standard. He lowered the standard. The standard says you can't scourge a man because he's not guilty. In other words, he has lowered the standard, right? He has compromised with the wrong, and the people were actually forcing him to do it, right? So he compromised now. He compromised because that's not Roman law. The Roman law says you can't scourge a man who's not guilty, but he found him guilty. He found him not guilty. Then why are you gonna scourge him then? Yeah, peer pressure got him. And he succumbed and he compromised. The crowd presumed upon his indecision. See? They said, oh, okay. In that case, wow, your indecision. You said that he's not guilty, but now you're going to scourge him. Now they said, they can sense it because he's wavering, right? They can tell, okay, now we got something that we can, we can actually presume upon his indecision, and clamored the more for the life of the prisoner. If at the first Pilate had stood firm, which he did in the beginning, refusing to condemn a man whom he found guiltless, he would have broken the fatal chain that was to bind him in remorse and guilt as long as he lived. Had he carried out his convictions of right, the Jews would not have presumed to dictate to him. Christ would have been put to death, but the guilt would not have rested upon Pilate. Yeah. But Pilate had taken step after step in the violation of his conscience. He had excused himself from judging with justice and equity, and he now found himself helpless in the hands of the priests and the rulers. His wavering and indecision proved his ruin. Before he was, he followed his conscience, but then he let the people influence him, and then as soon as he compromised his standard, the Roman standard, they knew that they got him. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Somebody has to do it.
That's right. Yeah. Carry light wherever you go. Show that you have strength of purpose. that you are not a person of indecision, easily swayed by the persuasions of evil associates. Do not yield a ready assent to the suggestions of those who dishonor God, but rather seek to reform, reclaim, and rescue souls from evil. Right? Pilate was indecisive. He started to waver. The cause of God demands men who can see quickly and act instantaneously at the right time with power. If you wait to measure every difficult and balance, every perplexity you meet, you will do but little. Oh. If you're gonna think and think and think and overthink everything that you're gonna do, you're not gonna do anything. You will have obstacles and difficulties to encounter at every turn, and you must, with firm purpose, decide to conquer them, or they will conquer you. Long delays tire the angels. Wow. Look at this. Long delays tire the angels. It is even more excusable to make a wrong decision sometimes than to be continually in a wavering position. Yeah, sometimes making a mistake and then learn from it, rather than constantly wavering this way and that way. To be hesitating, sometimes inclined in one direction, then in another. More perplexity and wretchedness results from this hesitating and doubting than from sometimes moving too hastily. You know, commit, do it. If you may make a mistake, learn from it, and don't do it again. You know, that kind of thing. Rather than constantly wavering this and that, hey, you never do anything. I have been shown that the most signal victories and the most fearful defeats have been in the turn of minutes. Ooh, just a few minutes can determine whether you're going to win or lose. God requires promptness of action. Delays, doubtings, hesitations, and indecision frequently give the enemy every advantage. So what did he do? He compromised, right? He compromised with wrong. Yeah, that's number 2. He compromised with wrong. Who did not compromise? Daniel did not hesitate. The approval of God was dear to him, that the favor of the most powerful earthly potentate, dearer than life itself. He determined to stand firm in his integrity, let the results be what it might. The result was supported by his 3 companions, right? Daniel and his 3 companions. Did they compromise with wrong? Nope. Right? They did not choose to be singular, but they would be so rather than dishonor God. Should they compromise with wrong in this instance by yielding to the pressure of circumstances, their departure from principle would weaken their sense of right and their abhorrence of wrong. Right? One step leads to another. Who else? Oh, let's see who else here. The alliances made by the Israelites. What about the Israelites? The alliances made by the Israelites with their heathen neighbors resulted in their loss of their identity as God's peculiar people. They became leavened by the evil practices. See, they compromised with the heathens. Affiliation with worldlings caused them to lose their first love and their zeal for God's service. The advantages they sold themselves to gain brought only disappointment. So the Israelites, they compromised, right? Daniel did not compromise. The Israelites, they compromised. The experience of Israel will be the experience of all who go to the world for strength, turning away from the living God. Those who forsake the mighty one, the source of all strength, and affiliate with worldlings, placing on them their dependence. So now they depend to the worldlings. If you affiliate with the worldlings, now you're going to depend on the worldlings. Become meek in moral power. Wow. God comes with entreaties and assurances to those who are making mistakes. He seeks to show them their error and lead them to repentance. But if they refuse to humble their hearts before him, if they strive to exalt themselves above him, he must speak to them in judgment. Wow. No semblance of nearness to God. See? No symbol. You think you're near to God? There's no semblance of nearness to God. No assertion of connection with Him. Can you even say, I'm connected with Him? Will be accepted from those who persist in dishonoring Him by leaning upon the arm of worldly power. If you compromise and you accept worldly power, don't even think you're near to God. Don't even think that you have that you have a connection with God. We are not to cringe and beg pardon of the world for telling them the truth. Now, who's another group that compromises? Unfurl your colors to meet the cause of men and angels. Let it be understood that Seventh-day Adventists can make no compromise. Wow. In your opinions and faith, there must not be the least appearance of wavering. You cannot be wavering. The world has a right to know what to expect of us and will look upon us as dishonest, as hiding our real sentiments and principles out of policy. If we carry even the semblance of being uncommitted, till the popular voice has pointed out the safe way. Ooh. Wow. In other words, we're waiting and waiting. See how some people will vote on what is the wrong way to go. And then when we wait until that happens, and it says, okay, I'm going to go this way. You don't have your own mind, your conviction. You wait for people to say, okay, this is the way to go. Right. Mm-hmm.
To the majority.
That's right.
You go with the flow.
You go with the flow. See? Being uncommitted until the popular voice has pointed out the safe way. The Comforter, the Holy Spirit, which Christ said He would send into the world, was to bear an unwavering. The testimony is going to be shaking and it's unwavering. Okay. All right, here you go. What did Seventh-day Adventists do? This is 1968. This is reported in New York Times. 1968. The World Council of Churches today admitted 9 Roman Catholic theologians to membership in its principal theological body. The Commission on Faith and Order also admitted to full membership were 6 representatives of the other non-member churches, including the Seventh-day Adventist Church. In 1968, New York Times, Seventh-day Adventist Church used to be non-member and now admitted to full membership. Ecumenical. This is the ecumenical movement, right? 1968. Now this is in 1973, reported in a paper in Germany. Yeah. Since 1965, there had been yearly dialogues between the WCC and the Seventh-day Adventists. Since 1968, see, 1968, the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists is acknowledged by other international churches as a world confessional family. Ooh. The Adventist participation in yearly conference of the World Confessional Families has brought good results. Oh. Conscientious cooperation is necessary. Cooperation with the world is necessary as long as there's no compromise regarding firmly established belief and religious aims. Wow. Mm-hmm. And now look at what happened by Robert Falkenberg, GC president in 1993, right? Robert Falkenberg is the GC president in 1993. This is what he said. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is not, has not been, will not be a member of WCC. In 1993, they were already a member in 1968. I don't care what evidence you have printed to the contrary. it is simply a fabrication. It is not true. It is a lie. It is a distortion. I want to make sure you understand it. There is no membership or intention of becoming a member. We are not one and will not be. I hope you can take that to the bank as a statement of categorical, undeniable truth. And anything that you receive printed to the contrary, tear it up, throw it in the waste paper basket. It is simply not the truth. Yeah, wow. This is what the GC president said. They compromised already? Have you nothing to do with that just man? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him. Now this is the wife. So now after this, after he had Jesus beaten, he get a letter from the wife. Now his wife is, by tradition, it is said her name is Claudia Procula. Yeah, Claudia Procula. And she is the granddaughter of the Caesar Augustine. Augustine. Yeah. Yeah, Augustus. Well, the granddaughter. So she's Roman. She actually wanted to or became a Christian, but was very sympathetic to the Christian church. She had a dream. And in that dream, it's in the Desire of Ages. When you read the Bible, it does not say anything. What the dream was is not written down. But Ellen White wrote what the dream was. And the dream was that she actually saw that Jesus was being persecuted and Jesus was being beaten. And the person that was letting Jesus be persecuted was Pilate, her own husband. And then later on, the dream went on that she actually saw Jesus come back to earth in the second coming. And then she saw that same person came down as a king. And this is the man that my husband is persecuting now. He's going to come down as a king in the heaven, from heaven like that. And then she woke up. And then she wrote a letter. Send this letter to. Have thou nothing to do with this just man. He's a just man. For I have suffered, I have seen many things in a dream because of him.
Her spirit was troubled.
That's right. That's right. That's amazing. And now, the Eastern Orthodox Church has Saint Claudia. She became a saint. Yeah. Anyway. But what did he do? So, but the problem that he already wavered, right? And now the Jews said, "Hey, you said that he's not guilty, but you sent him to be scourged. We are now going to report you to Rome." And the problem is he's already in trouble with Rome because he did several different things. He persecuted the Jews before, for things. So the Roman Empire was also was keeping their eye on him because he was not the best leader. Yeah, he was not the best leader. He had some trouble with Rome already. So he knew that he was being watched. But now the Jews have said, "Well, we're going to report you because you have broken Roman law. You have scourged a person that you said is innocent." So then he says, today is Passover day for the Jews, and there's a tradition that we will always release one man from prison, but this man has to be, agreed upon by the multitude. One man released on Passover, agreed upon by the multitude. So he said, "No, okay, why don't I release Barabbas?" Barabbas is a seasoned criminal. Ellen White says he really looks like a criminal. I mean, he's he's hardened and, has shifty eyes and everything. And he says, okay, what am I going to do, if I release Barabbas, because I don't think Jesus is actually innocent. I mean, Jesus is actually guilty. If I release Barabbas and I make them choose, surely anybody could see that there's no way they're going to choose Barabbas. There's no way.
Yeah,
That's what he thought. That's what he thought. See? There's no way. Right? What did they say? Away with this man and release unto us Barabbas. What? He was actually surprised. I can't believe they release Barabbas. They're going to release Barabbas. Wow. So, he chose worldly power, right? Because he was afraid for his job. Because his position. He wanted to remain the governor of Jerusalem. Because the people said, we are going to accuse you to Rome. So he, instead of following his conscience, he chose worldly power. He wanted to continue with his job in his position. By faith, who decided to... Now let's see. Moses, when he came to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh. Moses refused worldly power, right? Yeah. Who else refused worldly power? Jesus. When he was there, the devil said unto him, all these power I will give thee, and glory of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomever I will give it. If therefore thou wilt worship me, all shall be thine. And Jesus said unto them, get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Jesus refused earthly power. Now, who wanted earthly power and earthly position? Earthly benefits? The rich young man, right? But when the young man heard that saying, sell all your treasure and give it to the poor and then follow me, the rich young man went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. He had worldly possessions, he had worldly power, and he would rather have worldly power and possessions rather than having Jesus. What about the Seventh-day Adventists? The enemy's soul has sought to bring in the supposition that a great reformation would take place among Seventh-day Adventists, and that this reformation would consist of giving up the doctrines which stand at the pillars of our faith. Now, this is a very this is what Ellen White said is going to happen to the church after she dies. There's 9 things that's going to happen to the church after she dies. The first thing is that the pillars of our faith and this reformation would give up the doctrines which the pillars of their faith will be given up, right? And engage in a process of reorganization. The organization is going to be reorganized. It's no more. Were this reformation to take place, what would result? The principles of truth that God in His wisdom has given to the remnant churches would be discarded. Truth would be discarded. Our religion would be... It will be changed. Ellen White said, after she dies, the religion will be changed. The fundamental principles that have sustained the work in the last 50 years would be counted as error. A new organization, reorganization, a new organization will be established. Books of a new order would be written. So many books will be written. That's contrary to Ellen White. System of intellectual philosophy. Now this is what spiritual formation, exegesis, see, that's intellectual philosophy, right? Would be introduced. The founders of this system would go into the cities and do a wonderful work. They're going to do wonderful work. It's looking as if they're very successful. Right? This is what's going to happen. It's happened. It's happened already.
You are involved in the big city.
That's right.
She was talking to Florida Hospital and Disney World.
All of this, Ellen White said, will happen, and it's happening. The leaders would teach that virtue is better than vice, God being removed. It's your deeds will get you to heaven, your good deeds. They would place their dependence on human power, which without God is worthless. Their foundation will be built on the sand, and storm and tempest would sweep away the structure. All this has happened already.
Yeah.
They depend on human power. Let's see, who depend on human power? Like, remember at Stephen? What did Stephen say to the Sanhedrin and the Pharisees? When called upon to answer to the charges brought upon him, he began at Moses and the prophets and reviewed the history of the children of Israel and the dealings of God with them, and showed how Christ had been foretold in prophecy. He referred to the history of the temple and declared that God dwelleth not in temples made with human power. That's what he said. God does not dwell in temples made with human power. The Jews worshipped the temple and were filled with great indignation of anything spoken against that building than if it had not been spoken against God. That's what the Jews did. Stephen said, God no longer dwells in the temples made with human power. The Jews depended on the temple that is built on human power. They worshiped that temple that they built with their human hands. Right? And what did he say? Ye stiff-necked and uncircumcised in heart and ears, ye do always resist the Holy Spirit. Whew. And this was when they stoned him. And then that was it. Their probation closed, right? And they're no longer the chosen people. Wow. Because they worship the temple. Worship the temple and the building and the organization. If you worship the temple and the organization, and God does not dwell in temple made of hands. Ever since he went to heaven, he no longer dwells. Because where does he dwell? In the temple of grace. Right? Oh, do we see the same thing now? The loudest in... Oh, okay, this is what the GC president in 1939. You do not recognize his name because none of us were, in 1939, were around. Even our parents were still too young for this. But this is the J.L. McElhenney. The loudest in church is the translation church. This is the very church that will be translated into the kingdom of God. In the case with the loudest in church, as a church is different. The gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Oh, what? The last church will not be spewed out. It will not be rejected. It will go through triumphantly. Wow. See, isn't that what the Jews said and what Stephen was saying? What is he? Exalting the temple, right? Exalting the organization. The temple will not. This is what he said. Can you imagine? Yeah. The loudest in church will not be spewed out. And this is the same thing that's even until the what that you read, right? The current GC president said, the loudest in church is the last remnant church. Yeah. In Messenger, 1994, regardless of the pretext or how righteous the cause may appear, separation from the visible remnant, which meaning SDA organization, is apostasy from the body of Christ. If you separate from the church This is what they say. But what did Stephen say?
Regardless of how the righteous the cause might be.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what they say in 1994. What did they say in 1984? Adventist Review. There is some relationship between salvation and church membership.
Oh,
See, I remember that, we're saying that you have to be a member of, like, if you are not a member of the Sabbath school, if your name is not there, then you are not.
Oh.
My name is not in heaven.
See, this is what it is.
That's
I
what-
heard that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
That's why you have to be, but you have, you
Yes.
want the guards us to be members.
yeah.
Now, do you see why Stephen was stoned?
Stone, yes.
Because Stephen was going against all of this. He says God is no longer in the church that is made with human hands. That's what Stephen said. What did Matthew say? Oh, okay. What he said? What shall I do then with Jesus, which is called Christ? With one accord they cried, let him be crucified. And the governor said, why? What evil hath he done? But they cried out more, saying, let him be crucified. Now he has already showed that he will waver. He will lower the standard. So the Jews knew that they can kind of like manipulate him. And they were able to intimidate him. Because they said, we are going to tell you on you, because you lowered the standard to Rome, and he, So they knew that the Jews know that they can intimidate him. Even though his conscience says one thing, he does another thing, right? Now he says, behold the man, see? That's the one when he says, behold the man. That's one, the picture in the front. Echo homo, behold the man. I bring him forth to you, that ye may know that I find no fault in him. I find no fault in him.
Did he wash his hands?
Yeah, Len, right, that's right. He is about to wash his hands. Take ye him and crucify him, for I find no fault in him. That's what Pilate said.
That's Pilate. Yeah.
Now, what did he just say? Yeah. Now what did they say? The Jewish people say, if thou let this man go, thou art not Caesar's friend. Whosoever maketh himself a king speaketh against Caesar. So now they said, oh, you cannot walk. Yeah, they are threatening him. They are threatening his job and his position, right? But they know that he does not have a very strong backbone, and he wavers. So what did he do? He deferred decision to others, right? You want to crucify him? Okay. You're the ones that decide that you're going to crucify him, right? So he deferred decision. They deferred the decision to others. He let the Jews make the decision. Say, crucify him. Okay. You want him to be crucified? All right. You're the ones that made that decision, right? The worshippers were stricken down before the altar. Okay, who's the ones, the people, who are the ones that have other people make their decisions? Now this is what? The Jews, when they, at 70 AD, right? They were killed on the altar. The sanctuary was polluted with the bodies of the slain. Yet in their blind and blasphemous presumption, the instigators of the hellish work publicly declared that they had no fear that their Jerusalem was to be destroyed. For it was God's own city. To establish their power more firmly, they bribed false prophets to proclaim, even when Rome legions were besieging the temple, that the people were to wait for deliverance from God. To the last, multitudes held fast to the belief that the Most High would interpose for the defeat of their adversaries. But Israel had spurned the divine protection. She had no defense. Unhappy Jerusalem. They had put their trust on their leaders to tell them that Jerusalem was safe, that the church was safe, and the church will triumph to the end. If you stay in the church, you will not be killed, right? That's what the Jews did. They believed in their leaders. They had their leaders make the decisions for them. Dangerous. This is what happens to people who let others make decisions for them. Yeah, this is Ezekiel 9, right? Now this is what happens to us in our third angel's message, right? Remember this? We read this a while back. The people were going to say, the sins of Babylon will be laid open. The fearful results of enforcing the observance of the church of civil authority, the inroads of spiritualism, stealthy rapid progress of papal power, all will be unmasked. But the solemn warnings of the people will be stirred. Thousands upon thousands will listen who have never heard words like these. In amazement, they hear the testimony that Babylon is the church. What? Is the church Babylon fallen already because of her errors and sins? Wow, this is the Sunday law. Because of her rejection of the truth sent to her from heaven, as the people could go to their what? Former teachers who made their decisions for them with eager inquiry. Are these things so? The ministers present fables, prophesies most things to soothe their fears and quiet their awakened conscience. See, these are the people who let others make decisions for them. They don't study for themselves. They don't make decisions for themselves. They let their spouse make decisions for them. They let their parents make decisions for them. This is what's going to happen. They let their children make decisions for them. This is what's going to happen. They let their pastors make decisions for them. Matthew 27. And then what did they do? Then he said he washed his hands. Right? And he says, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. See ye to it. They said, don't blame me, okay? You're the one that make the decision. I wash my hands. This is his mistake number 5. Why is washing his hands a mistake? Why would that be a mistake? It's an outward ceremony, right? It's just a symbol of an outward ceremony. In his heart, is that what he believed? Or is that just an outward ceremony? Just to make it look good on the outside, right? Just to show on the outside, just to show. So he's afraid of the consequence that he could get from Rome, from all of this. He could be fired. And just to show, he washed his hands, just to show. Just to show on the outside. It's outwardly ceremonies. Okay. Who have outwardly ceremonies? Pharisees and Sadducees. You generation of vipers. You say that you always what? You always keep the law to the letter, right? That's an outward show. You on the outside you look so good and holy, but their heart is evil, like a serpent. Yeah, these are the ones that stoned Stephen, right? Who else looks good on the outside? Judas. What did Judas do? Kiss Jesus. Does that good look on the outside when you kiss Jesus? Wow, that should look good. But what about his heart? Remember the statue that we saw Judas kissing Jesus? Remember, children? That was at the stairs, the steps in Rome. Yeah, on the right hand side, there's a big statue of Judas kissing Jesus. Martin Luther. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of Filipinos were climbing with their knees on. They paid a lot of money to be able to do that. Yeah. So Judas, right? That's an outward ceremony, right? 2 Timothy 3:5. Having a form of godliness, right? A form of godliness. On the outside, you look good, but denying the power thereof inside. From such things, turn away. Don't associate yourself with these people. Wow. What about now? This is from We Still Believe. Remember, I don't have the Bible here. This is We Still Believe. Today, the Seventh-day Adventist Church is one of the fastest growing Christian denominations in the world. It looks so good. For the last 5 years, we have been multiplying members at an annual growth rate of more than 6.6%.
This is recently, right?
Yeah, this is not too long ago. This is probably in the 90s or something like, probably in the last, yeah. I don't know what about recently, then.
Mark, when you mentioned that.
Hmm.
JD.
See, outward ceremonies, what looks good on the outside is very important. To who? To humans, not to God. If you are telling these things, you are trying to impress humans, not Jesus. Testimonies of the church. To lower the standard in order to secure popularity and an increase of numbers, and then to make this increase a cause of rejoicing. Weren't they rejoicing, saying, "We are growing. We are what? We look good. We look good." Shows great blindness. Oh my goodness. If numbers were an evidence of success, Satan might claim the preeminence. For in this world, his followers are largely in the majority. Stay in the minority. That's the point. If you're in the majority, watch out, you're in the broad path. Men will employ every means to make less prominent the difference between SDA and observers of the first day of the week. A company was presented before me under the name of Seventh-day Adventists, who were advising that the banner or logo or sign which makes us a distinct people should not be held out so strikingly. Don't show that logo, the three angels message. Don't show it. For they claimed that this was not the best policy in order to secure success to our institutions. Don't put that Seventh-day Adventist hospital there. Just say hospital. Just say Florida Hospital. Don't put SDA. This distinctive banner described in the words, "Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus," is to be borne through the world to the close of probation. While efforts should be increased to advance in different localities, there must be no cloaking of our faith to secure patronage. Wow. No wonder the cloaking is to cover, to hide. Don't hide your faith so more people will join your church. Truth must come to souls ready to perish. Ooh. And if it is in any way hidden, God is dishonored. And the blood of souls will be upon our garments. Ooh. No wonder they don't like Ellen White. Wow. And she says, what? If you want popular, you want numbers, you're showing great blindness. That's it. Remember this? Then Moses stood at the gate of the camp and said, "Who is on the Lord's side?" Right? Who's on the Lord's side? I'm going to draw a line. Who's going to be on this side? Who's going to be on that side? And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. Joshua, who also said? Joshua. I said, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Right? Wow. Dare to be a Daniel, right? Dare to be like Joshua. They're to be like the Levites. Who else? And Elijah came unto all the people and said, how long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. Don't stand on the fence. Make up your mind. And the people answer him not a word. No one can occupy a neutral position. Doing nothing to encourage others and doing nothing to hinder others. We are either doing the work of Christ to save souls or the work of Satan to lead to perdition. You can't be neutral in this controversy. You either, you can't stand straddled on the fence. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous thereof and repent. Behold, I stand at the door. I am presenting myself to you, and I'm knocking with my right hand. Right? If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come. What are you going to do? You have to choose to crucify me or crown me. You cannot be a neutral observer. You cannot. You either crown me or crucify me. For he says, I have heard thee in a time accepted. In a day of salvation have I succored thee. Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. You have to choose now. Don't be like Pilate, right? Passing the buck, having others make the decision, lowering the standard, compromising with the world, And then what happened to him? He wanted to keep his job, and then after this, he was called back to Rome. And when he was called back to Rome, the Caesar died, and Caesar Tiberius became the Caesar. And when he arrived in Rome, the Caesar did not know him, who he was. And he lost his position. He became a regular person, and then he committed suicide. Mm-hmm. Pilate committed suicide.
He didn't expect that.
Yeah, see, he wanted to keep his position. Those who want to keep their positions will lose their positions. Those who want to keep their lives will lose their lives. If you love your position and you love your life, you will lose both of them. Yeah. Love not the world, right?
You lose it anyway.
You're going to lose it anyway. See, that's what he did, right?
You lose it anyway. By the side of
Oh. And that's a more sure word of prophecy.